the benefits of having proper branding and packaging is, you want to build a loyalty and trust. And if you don't have that, then, you don't really have a brand. You have to make sure that, you do create that experience for your customers.
You're watching The Marketing Misfits with Norm Farrar and Kevin King.
Hey Norm, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for another episode of the Marketing Misfits podcast. Are you excited?
Oh my! Yes, I'm excited, Kevin. You told me to be more exciting, right? Okay.
I told you to jump. You're supposed to jump. That's your cue to jump up and down and go, yay!
I am jumping. I'm so excited.
Have you ever? I know what gets you excited is when you go into. Well, maybe not anymore because you don't drink anymore. But back in the old days, when you actually did drink, when you would go into a liquor store, they have liquor stores in Canada, right? Or is it government controlled?
Liquor stores. Government controlled, liquor stores.
So when you went into one of these government controlled liquor stores and you're like, man, I need a good vodka. But you're like, I want to try something different. I don't want to do Absolute. I don't want to do Tito's. I want to try something different. And you're looking around and you see all these bottles. And one of those bottles is in the shape of a guitar. And you're like, ooh, I wonder what this is. You have no idea how that thing tastes, but it's a glass guitar. And it looks really cool. And it's got a little label on the top that says it looks almost like a cigar label around the top and a little band. And you're like, you know what? I think I'm in the mood for this one today. And you buy it, you take it back. And maybe it tastes good, maybe it doesn't. But why did you buy that? Why did you buy that actual bottle that looks like a guitar? Is that the packaging? Is that what is that actually made you stand out and you actually buy that and try some, who knows, could be awful tequila or vodka, but you bought it because of the way it looked?
Of the starting letter is B, brand.
Of the brand, but is it the brand or is it the packaging?
It's a bit of both. The packaging. If I have no,
what if you didn't know the vodka? What if you didn't know what this vodka? You never heard of this vodka. It was Tom's Farms vodka, but the bottle was really, really cool.
I'd buy it for the bottle,
especially if it was a gift, right? Especially if you were giving it to, say, hey,
where are we going?
I'm going down the road of how important packaging is and how important branding is. When it comes
so we've
to
hit both, right? I said packaging, I said brand. So I got the question right.
You got the question right. So you get a Scooby snack.
Okay.
As Steve Simonson would say, our buddy Steve. You get a Scooby snack, and you can have an ice cream after the end of this podcast.
Yes.
Now we got someone today that's like an expert when it comes to branding and packaging. I mean, she used to deal with all the what they call that in London, high street. What's it called? The high street where all the fashion stuff is, where all the big stores are. She used to do a high street brands, and one of the biggest brands in the world. She did all her stuff, and now she does a lot of consulting, and she's got some interesting takes. I think we both had her on our individual podcast, Lunch with Norm and AM/PM podcast. But
yep,
it's gonna be. I'm excited because I love talking about this stuff, as I know you do too.
All right. Well, our guest today is Kitty Lay. Here she comes.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Just a sec. I got to do something here. Yo, Kitty.
Oh, they're my glasses.
Yes, they are.
Glasses. Yes. London.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so and backstage, I was jumping. I was really excited to be on the show with you guys today. So thank you so much for having me.
What's the story with his glass? And so, Norm, those of you that are listening, Norm just put on some shades. What's the story with the shades, Norm?
So they are from a brand that I created 4 years ago. And these sunglasses, the brand's called Kit London. I actually don't sell it anymore. But the glass, so you have limited edition glasses, Norm, and these glasses are sustainable. They're made from recycled steel. They're non-petroleum, so that's plant-based acrylics that's in the glasses, and everything is sustainably sourced, and it's using one of the most sustainable factories in the world to create these sunglasses, and Norm has one pair of them.
Woohoo!
How did you get a pair, Norm? I'm jealous now. I don't have sustainable.
Well, somebody left them on the table and I snagged them.
Oh, I see. Your klepto side came out.
Yep.
I see what it is. So these are glasses that you manufacture on your own brand, Kitty, or these are something that you're.
We manufactured. It was sustainable clothing brand. So we had jewelry, we had shirts, trousers, apparel. We had a lot of things, a small range, and we got good designers, amazing designers to design it for us. We got Ted Baker factories to make it for us, and actually one of our trousers are made from the leftovers of Prada materials. So we were using a lot of really nice, sustainable fabrics, and one of the world-class factories in the world. So it was like a small little experiment, but it's not my love for fashion. So my business partner, that was his thing. So, but yeah, I had a little experiment, and it might continue at some point, but I designed a lot of the jewelry, and we got a silversmith to make all the jewelry as well out in Greece. So it was, really fun to do all that. But I got involved with all the packaging, the marketing, and then I got involved with logistics and the warehouse and everything else behind it. And I thought, there's too much. I need to go back to my passion, which is design and packaging, and brand. So yeah, that's
that
where
happens a lot with entrepreneurs. They have a passion for one thing, and then they go and they try to spread themselves too thin into all these other things that they want to do or want to achieve.
You talking about me, Norm? You talking about me?
Okay, let's say Kevin King.
Is this a little backhands?
Yeah. Koosh. The person will remain nameless, but no, it happens when all of a sudden then you have to regroup and refocus and say, I got to go back to what I'm passionate about. So it sounds like that's what you did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was literally taking a lot of my time with the Kit London brand. But Kevin, I do have a spare pair of glasses.
Oh, dang.
I do have some.
The ones with the wings, right? The cooler ones with the little wings. I get something different than Norm.
I'll have them branded with your name
on
the inside.
for our smoking jackets, our fedoras, and the glasses. Now,
there we go. We'll look like the Blues Brothers the next time we go to the Big Smoke.
Yeah.
You should have branded cigars, actually.
Well, we did.
He keeps making fun of the cigars. I made these really great cigars, and he just keeps making fun of them.
So how did you get into, were you always when you were a young girl, were you the one that's sitting there drawing in the back of class and coming up with ideas and designs and were you that artistic creative person always, or did this evolve over time?
I wanted to be a choreographer. I wanted to be a dance choreographer, but my dad said I wasn't very good at it.
That's great. That's creative.
It's creative,
that's art.
But I was also good at art. So I went into graphic design. My sister went into graphics first, and she's an amazing graphic designer. But I always collected packaging bits. So like perfume bottles, boxes, bags. You go shopping with bags, and I just collect them like a hoarder, and I just loved it. And then when
as a little girl.
Littleish. I mean, I guess in my teens, early teens.
Okay,
so my first job was when I was 15 years old, and I went to a packaging factory where my mum was doing part-time work. So I was on the conveyor belt. I was getting motion sickness actually on these, but I was packing for Estee Lauder, Clinique, and Aramis. So it was all the makeup brands, and I loved it. And I was putting all the little powders in, I put the brushes in, putting all the boxes together. So that everyone has a job. So there's a line of people doing the jobs. One just putting the brushes in. That's all you do for 3 hours. And then the sweets will come along, and then you have a sweet. But so
sweets would come on the conveyor belt?
They would, because you need a bit of sugar. And for me, for my first job ever, I was getting motion sickness a lot of the time, and my sister was working with me. So she would take a lot of the things. I was taking a lot of things off the conveyor belt because I couldn't keep up putting the boxes together and putting stickers on the little pencils and stuff. But yeah, it was something I loved. And the best thing was the staff shop. So with these Clinique lip pencils, lipsticks, makeup, the lotions, they're like 50 pence. £1, and that's not a lot of money, but so it was amazing. So I grew up with a lot of brands, makeup brands and stuff when I was young. So it was amazing. So I stuck with it, and I just loved designing. So I just thought, well, that's something I'm quite good at. I have a really good eye. I do love drawing. I loved creating things in 3D. So I was quite tactile with my hands. I'd make cardboard things, cutouts, and make origami kind of things as well with paper. And I was doing that in university, and I used to get quite high grades because I was like, that's really good, that packaging design, So it was just something I fell into. I thought I was good at it. So I just went into London after I graduated, and I've been doing it for the last 25 years or more. So, yeah.
What are you most proud of? What did you design that's like your most proudest thing that you've designed, like a box or package or bottle or whatever? What is it that's you're like, oh my God, this is my Mona Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I've never liked anything I've done, although people think it's great. Not that I don't like it, it's that I'm always trying to do the next best thing. I'm like, oh, that's good, but I think I can do better. I want to do another project. I want to make that better. So I'm always thinking I do great projects, but I don't see any single one that really stands out. I guess if I think about it, when I was on work experience, I went into a design agency. So I was like 19 years old. I went to the design agency, and they actually gave me a job. I thought, oh, I'm just making teas here. I'm just, doing a little, doing a runaround in this design London agency. And they said, actually, there's some project we'd like you to work on. I met with the clients, and they had these handprints. I had these little handprints of this little girl. It was their daughter who had died from meningitis. And the brief was they're doing a ball to raise money for meningitis. And it's called the Jessica Robin ball. And I had to create the design for it, the logo. And I thought, what am I going to do? And it's like, I was put on a lot of pressure as a 19-year-old, never been into an agency. So I looked at it. I thought, what can I do? Okay, all I have is these handprints from this girl that died, and she was like 2 years old. So I thought, okay, I'm going to use the handprints. So I got an illustrator. I worked with an illustrator, and I said, can you put her face, the silhouette of her face, in the handprint? So we created that in a gold foil block, and then I used a really lovely script font for the logo, and that was part of the handprint and the logo underneath, and that was put on the stationery, the brochures, the compliment slips, the packaging, and T-shirts. So for me, that's a really lovely project to have been part of as well. So, it's just using my creativity and what can I do? So, and I didn't have a lot of time to do it either. So I had like 2 days to come up with something, and that was great. And I love working under that pressure as well. So I think that's where I love working on things that I'm not sure what to do. And that's where I work best, when I don't know what I want to do.
You've ended up working for some huge brands. Do you want to explain who they are, or tell us who they are?
Yeah, so a year into working for a London agency, this job came up for Ted Baker. So the Ted Baker brand is a retail brand. Back then, it was just 1999. It was still quite a laddish brand, actually. So this is quite interesting because Ted Baker evolved. Their brand evolved quite a lot over the years I was there. I was there for 10 years. So it was a very laddish brand, so it was very male orientated. And then they launched the female Ted Baker woman. They called it Ted Baker woman. And then they were trying to make it a ladette kind of, we're talking about late 90s, going into, the 2000s. And it wasn't the right message that women wanted to hear. I mean, the Spice Girls are around and everything. But, there was a lot of things wrong with the brand because they had the kids. So it's Ted Baker Kids. And then they had glasses, Ted Baker sunglasses, and they were calling Ted Baker a lot of things, and it was so many brands, and I was creating invites for the wholesalers. So I put all these about 10 different logos for sunglasses for the kids, for women, and I said, well, we need to bring it back down to just Ted Baker London. And that's, after a few years of that, having a bit of a branding crisis, they decided, actually, let's just hone it back. It's just Ted Baker London. That's all we're going to do. So, and that's where it evolved, and then the women's wear evolved nicely. It really sort of pitched to the target audience because they were actually not appealing to the target audience they wanted originally. So it's really important to understand the target audience, because at the time it was like, we're just doing women's, we're just going to do perfume, we're going to do this. And it's a brand that just exploded. It went from, when I was there, from 50 employees in head office to about 250 by the time I left. And it was still growing. By the time I left, it would have been like 500 plus thousand employees in head office. So it's a brand that evolved, and something I've been involved with opening stores globally as well. So it was understanding the markets in America, opening in Asia, Australia, in Europe, and it was working with those teams as well. So I'd work with the marketing teams in all those different territories, and making sure that our tone and language fit the culture as well, because some things didn't fit. And so, Ted Baker was quite extraordinary, because I was dealing with the packaging, the marketing, the window campaigns. There's a lot of things involved with anything with the Ted Baker name on it during that period would have to come through me. Every zip pull, every button would come through me. I had to sign it off, thinking, because I know things aren't consistent. So I would make sure the team I was managing, that if anything comes through from a supplier, you have to check the logo is correct, the font is correct, because they do come out different. And, we were very strict. So as brand guardians, we made sure that, everything would come through our department. I would sign it off. And that was quite a sort of important role. So, for me, I loved it. And I loved employing the young designers. I would always employ someone that was better than me. So I would make sure, I'm a good designer, but I want someone better than me, that was really good. By the time I left, I had 10 designers under me. And then I worked freelanced. I was made redundant, actually. And then I freelanced for a while. So I was working with TK Maxx. So in America, it's TJ Maxx, yeah? Mm-hmm. So I was brought in to work on their the store experience. So when you walk through the store, what was the experience you would get with the signage, the point of sale, and I was creating an environment for them. So I came up with a load of different concepts, and then worked on other projects, their Christmas campaigns in store as well. So it's like swing tickets, all their sort of banners they had in store. And then after a while, I was headhunted to work for Cath Kidston, which was another major brand in the UK. It's not renowned globally, but it's very British. She did have a store in New York, and Japan loved the brand. It's a lot of polka dots, a lot of florals, very English florals everywhere, and you might have seen it on the high streets. But I rebranded everything for Cath Kidston. Day one was going into the warehouse. I wanted to see what was wrong in the warehouse. So I went through every swing ticket, every label, everything. I took photos of everything with my junior designer, and it was inconsistent. So I was like, no, we can't have this. It was Cath Kidston Limited, London, Cath Kidston London, Cath Kids. It was not consistent again. So that's what drives me crazy with a brand that's not consistent. So then, I worked with Cath, and we recreated her branding. So the store branding, I redrew actually her logo, because the original logo that she actually hand drew on her kitchen table, and it was a bit jaggedy because she had hand drawn it. And it was quite funny, because that year I went to a show in London, and someone had brought it up as a keynote on a presentation, calling it out, saying this logo is like really badly drawn and stuff like that. We'd drawn it and stuff, and I worked on all the packaging, because they needed someone for the packaging design side of things. So I got to work with Apple. Actually, I got meetings with Apple, working with the Cath Kidston range. We had iPhone covers, we had iPad covers, and laptop cases and stuff. So I would design packaging that would have to fit in an Apple store. So they were quite strict in terms of their requirements. So I would have to design it and follow their guidelines. They are very specific, and we had to use all their logos and everything, their tonality in there. And then that would be approved by the team before it goes onto the shop floor. They have to know the materials. They need to know what it will look like. So I had to visualize things, computer generate everything. I'd visualize things. This is how it's going to look with the covers and the phone covers. So yeah. There was a lot of things. So I was there for 6 years, and then I lost the love. I lost the love for design. Because I was working spring, summer, autumn, winter, spring, summer, autumn, winter. I working on so many campaigns, and by then it was about 16 years in. And I had a little boy as well. So I thought, actually, I want to do something else. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was made redundant, actually, again, which I always see as a good thing. It's a new challenge. And so then someone mentioned that I should go on on an FBA Amazon course. I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I did this masterclass a whole weekend to sell up, to learn how to negotiate suppliers. I know that from my job already. I know how to, the shipping side. I know the marketing. I know how to, so I knew everything. So I loved it. And the whole weekend, I had my hand up asking questions. I came to that masterclass with loads of questions. Day 3, I lost my voice. I couldn't ask anything more.
Was that when I met you in London?
It was around that time, yes. Yeah, it was.
I remember meeting you. I was doing a workshop with Wilfred Lightheart, and you introduced yourself.
I did, yeah. That was literally 6 months or just during that time. And I met Kevin King around that time as well. I went to one of his masterclasses. My eyes just lit up because I thought, oh, great. I can learn how to build a business and a brand and start from scratch, because that's something I've never wanted to do. I've never wanted to be a director, never wanted to own a business, because the thought of it was just too scary. And it is quite overwhelming, as you're working in the corporate world and now you're coming out on your own. But, the course taught you how to do that. And it wasn't so scary at the end of it. And 6 months in, when I joined their mastermind, 6 months in, they made me a mentor. So I was on the round tables mentoring people about branding and packaging and stuff, because all I would do every month, I would go in and I'd just help everyone with their branding. So they said, we'll make you a mentor. So I did that for 3 years. And then I quit after... during COVID, actually. So so that's my journey, the starting. So that I do understand the Amazon journey, because I did start as a seller as well. Not very good at it.
So now, are you selling now, or are you just focusing on the packaging, branding side of things?
Yeah, I'm focused on the branding side of things. The brand I set up for the Amazon was literally, they sell it to you. Make money while you sleep. I wanted something on the side. It wasn't like a full-time job for me, but it ended up like a full-time job. But I'm not good at optimization. I'm not good at PPC. I don't like the back end. So I thought, well, I just like the front end that side of things. Yeah. So that, I sold my products, and I didn't like put any more inventory into the business. It's a great product. It's great, really lovely designed. Yeah.
With e-commerce sellers, so Amazon, Walmart, Shopify sellers, there's a lot of people who just throw something up, or they don't put a lot of time into the brand or the packaging. Can you explain why that's got to change? That mindset has got to change. And what are some of the benefits that'll come out of it if it does change?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Yeah, the mindset has to change, because it's not, you're running a business, you're running a real brand, and you need to see the growth of it. You need to have a business plan in place. And, the benefits of having proper branding and packaging is, you want to build a loyalty and trust. And if you don't have that, then, you don't really have a brand. And it's, it's the experience that you get from it. Because I remember when I was young, and when we were all young, or even now, when you see something, and, especially when I'm just talking about when I was young, but people would have these trainers, for example, and it's like, well, I want those because they've got them, and you don't know why you want them. You just think it's cool because they look cool. And then you want them as well. So it's creating that brand. Why do you want it? Actually, you don't know why you want it. It's cool because the name's cool. But until you get that, and then, the trainers I'll have, and it's like, well, actually it's the feeling now. Is actually, I do feel really good in these. I paid a little bit more money for this particular brand, but they look good, and people are looking at me now, and that that they want them. But it's all about that experience that you get from a brand. And I think, with Amazon sellers, if you don't have that excitement or that buzz or that people that want your product, you're not building a proper brand. And you have to make sure that you do create that experience for your customers.
Now, a quick word from our sponsor, Lavanta. Hey, Kevin, tell us a little bit about it.
That's right, Amazon sellers. Do you want to skyrocket your sales and boost your organic rankings? Meet Levanta, Norm and I's secret weapon for driving high-quality external traffic straight to our Amazon storefronts using affiliate marketing. That's right. It's achieved through direct partnerships with leading media outlets like CNN, Wirecutter, and BuzzFeed, just to name a few, as well as top affiliates, influencers, bloggers, and media buyers, all in Levanta's marketplace, which is home to over 5,000 different creators that you get to choose from.
So are you ready to elevate your business? Visit get.levanta.io/misfits. That's get.levanta, LEVANTA.io/misfits, and book a call, and you'll get up to 20% off Levanta's Gold Plan today. That's get.levanta.io/misfits.
Isn't it about a feeling? Isn't branding about a feeling? Whether that's I'm buying a Louis Vuitton purse because that's a feeling it gives me, or a status symbol, or that I've made it, or some sort of satisfaction there. Or if I'm buying a hammer and it comes in it's a basic commodity and it just comes in a really cool looking, like iPad looking box, and I got to open it all up, and all that does is just confirms to me, like, oh yeah, must be a cool hammer, even though I may throw the box away, and it had no impact on me buying it because I bought it on Amazon and I didn't even see the package. But it comes then, and it's like it's a justification. It's like a feeling. So isn't branding and packaging transcending that feeling?
Yeah, so I was thinking, well, we'll come back to that question, but I was thinking when you were talking about the guitar and the vodka and the feeling, it's the drinking, the feeling I get from the vodka. It's like it makes you feel good. It would it might necessarily not taste very good, but I think it is the feeling because you feel good now. You drank the vodka. But answering your question, Kevin, I think definitely it is, for some people, it's about the perception people get from you. If you've got a nice handbag, if you've got a luxury handbag, people think, oh wow, that looks really cool. And I think it's a lot of times it is the feeling, because you feel good because you've got this handbag. And if some people buy a fake handbag, you don't get that same feeling. You don't feel so special because you got it cheap and stuff. It's a completely different feeling. But I think when it comes to the actual packaging and the textures and things, you can create emotions from just packaging itself. Sometimes for me, it's about the smell. Oh, this print smells nice. This box smells lovely. Or the texture of this paper or this material is different. It's like a really soft touch. Or the texture, the ripples on it. And I think people underestimate how important it is with the packaging, or the sensory side of things that you get from just opening a box, just seeing it. I think it's really, people do need to think about much more about what they're doing, rather than just, I'm just going to put a box, I'm going to make it look pretty, I'll design it well, but is it going to give off that feeling, in terms of, like the unboxing experience? Will the customer feel special? Are they going to feel like, actually, I need to tell my neighbor, I really need to tell someone that this box I've just opened is amazing. So yeah, it's absolutely about evoking those emotions when it comes to packaging and the brand. And
you were just talking about the feel of a package, and it's so critical, because even if you take a matte packaging or a gloss packaging or a mixture of the two, it gives you a completely different experience. And I want you to get into that a little bit more for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to creating some feeling and emotions in packaging, I think, for me, I'm a very tactile person. And I think people don't understand like how sensory emotions and things will work with packaging as well, because it does evoke the emotions, firstly, but it also, your eyes will feast on packaging as well. But tactile stuff is really important. When you look at things that are a foil block, that creates a really premium feeling for people on packaging, for brands as well. But there's also other ways, like if you use matte laminates, that can create a alternative type of finish as well, rather than gloss finish or the satin finishes as well. And there's lots of things that people don't realize how subtle it is. I know Apple Apple packaging, they use the matte laminates, and that, it just feels special. It feels premium. And I think people really do love to receive something special. And if it's just a standard box, it doesn't feel anything unique. So whether it's, you've got hidden messages inside the box as well, and that creates an alternative feeling as well, like that feeling of surprise. And I think, it really sets the mood in terms of, what you're going to do with the product and receiving that as well. So I think it's really important to understand the tone of how you can create, how you can create a tone with packaging as well. So yeah, I think it's definitely at the first touch point that you need to think about when a customer receives the product.
I think that goes right back to what Kevin was just talking about with in Japan, that special feeling when everything is just wrapped in front of you and you feel special. And that's, if you get a high quality, high perceived value product, and it's got that extra little bit, that touch, that welcome message on the inside, the unveiling of the product. Well, it's a whole different experience, which I look for. I love that type of experience.
Yeah, and if people have the budget, they can create clever mechanisms like different openings and the way you peel it open, or it's just, or even how the product actually sits in the box. Maybe it makes a sound when it comes out, or a tab that you have to pull to get it out. And it's all those little things that really create that specialness, in packaging. And I know it doesn't relate to all products, but if you're trying to create that emotion and create that sort of surprise element for your customers, I think you need to think about it much more, because it will do more than you actually think. And I know it will only be a small budget, but I think it will create a lot of attention for your customers. They might tell their neighbors, and they'll think, oh gosh, I really like this packaging. And often people don't throw the packaging away because it's special, and it's like, oh, I really like this. And I think it's really important to think about what the customers are going through. So yeah.
Can you go overboard on that though? Because when I got married, we actually went over. Our invitation was not just here's a printed card in the mail like most people do. We actually spent about $40 per invitation to actually send them out, and we actually had a custom box made with a custom branded logo on top, like our own emblem, like our own logo with our letters intertwined with each other in a circle. And we consistently carried that through the entire wedding. It was the logo on the dance floor. It was the logo on the pillows. It was a logo on everything at the wedding. But in this package, it was a big box, like a rectangular box. And it was black and it had gold lettering and stuff on it. When you would open it, inside was a shot glass with our logo on it. Also, the invitation was a scroll with a little tie around it, like all round up, and you had to scroll it out and read it. And there was a candle in there, and then we put scent, so that it had the scent. It's like one of those like love scents. I forget what the scent was, but when you open it, it just feels like love. And we had a lot of people loved that, and then other people were like, it almost made them feel not worthy. They're like, this is such an expensive package. Can't afford to go to this wedding. So can you can packaging go too far as well?
It can go too far, but I don't think it's the experience that you're trying to give to your guests as well. And it also makes you good as well, because that's what you really wanted and that's what you've created for your wedding. And I think you're so excited about creating this thing that you want your guests to have it. And I think they should be, grateful to obviously they are grateful to receive such a gorgeous gift. I mean, it sounds amazing. But yeah, you can, I don't think it's anything over the top, but as long as you think it's true to your brand, if that's true to you and your wife at the time, with that was what's worth, I think it's amazing that you created that brand for yourself. It's got the logos, it's got that scent and stuff. And that's you, that's your character, that's your personality that you've created for this brand. So I think the people will take it away and they will always remember it. And that's branding, is when you remember something. It's like, remember those candles and that those, all these things that came, the scroll. And I think that's amazing, because you're sort of giving an experience to your guests as well. And I think I love that sort of things. I handmade all my wedding invites. I put little gems and stuff and bows, and I loved it all. So so that kind of thing is creating an experience and a memorable experience for people. So I think it's important.
So that's the key. You just said it. That's what I was trying, is experience. So is branding, part of branding and experience.
And memorable.
Memorable and experience. So and a lot of people, like back to Norm's question earlier, where he said a lot of these e-comm and Amazon sellers don't pay attention to packaging. part of their rationale is it wasn't matter. They're not buying it off a shelf. I don't have to compete against all these other things on a shelf in a retail store. They're just getting it off online. All they care about is, does the thing work and solve my problem? They don't care if it's in a brown, cheap box that stinks, that came from China, that looks like it's recycled and about to fall apart. They don't. They're like, what do they care? But they actually do. That actually is important. And a lot of them times they're just like, well, that cost me 35 cents to put it in that box, versus if I put it in a nice, iPad type of box, it's going to cost me $4. Why should I do that expense? So why should
Sometimes it's not even that, Kevin. Sometimes it's just a couple of extra cents, not $3 or $4 more. And one of the things I just want to point out here, Kevin also touched on another thing. He knew when it was time to rebrand. So now when you go to his house, instead of having the logo of him and his wife, he's got a big friggin' X going through, and he sent that out to everybody he invited.
Yeah. I have rebranded. That is true. So why do speaking of that, I mean, that's a good point. That why should someone rebrand? Why does Coca-Cola try to rebrand and then fails with New Coke? Why does Apple Burger King slightly changes their logo from a burger inside Burger King to more of a straight thing? Why? Sometimes I know rebranding is because there's a problem and they need to change an image. But why do a lot of brands rebrand? Why rebrand? I mean, you kind of touched on it earlier with the company, but why rebrand?
I think a lot of companies that get it wrong in the first place have to rebrand. It's usually because it's outdated, slightly outdated, or something's not right. It's not appealing to the target audience. And also, people rebrand because they want to change the target audience. It's not right for the brand, and they're going to start looking at a completely different customer avatar they want to sort of pitch to. But if you look at all the classic brands, for example, Coca-Cola and I guess Sony and all the other brands that the big brands, they don't actually do too much to rebrand. They tweak
What about Jaguar? Where they just came out, they completely rebranded their logo, the car colors, everything. It's like a radical, and it actually pissed off a lot of people. Or you look at here in the States, you look at Budweiser. I think it's Bud Light.
Budweiser.
When everything was wokeness was the hot thing, they rebranded to wokeness and completely isolated their core group of country boys. They're sitting in the bar with a cowboy hat drinking the stuff. Yeah. They went from the number one seller to number 4 now, and they can't get it back. So,
because I think what they a lot of brands that do that, they think, someone at the top thinks, we got to make a change. They think that their brand is like old fashioned, or they just need to change something, and they go way to one extreme. For example, Jaguar, they literally isolated all the other the usual customers, and they're pitching to someone completely new. And I think they're going to have to move back to the old brand because it was working. There was nothing wrong with it. It's just the product. It's coming up with new product, not new branding. And I think sometimes that's where brands and companies get confused. It's like, we need to rebrand because no one's buying, but maybe it's the product. Maybe that's what's wrong with it. What is the experience that the customer are getting? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's the packaging, maybe it's the message. And it's the marketing sometimes. Marketing can get it really wrong sometimes, and that could really affect the whole brand. But it doesn't mean you have to rebrand. I mean, a lot of people that have come to me, I just say, you just need a refresh. You just need to tweak a few things, and you don't need to rebrand, because rebrand means the whole thing. You're looking at the whole identity. You're looking at your target audience. If you don't need to change it, don't do anything. There are things to sort of to do to a brand that you don't have to go to one extreme and say rebrand. So I always say refresh, just a little refresh, tweak it slightly, because I think just look at you just have to look at what is wrong with maybe possibly the product, and I guess you have to sit down and be honest about yourself. Is it time to rebrand? Is it looking quite tired? And at the time I designed it to be trend driven, so then that means it's out of fashion and it's not in on trend anymore. So there's a lot of ways where, companies can look at what they need to do. And I think they need to start with a brand audit and then see what actually is going wrong with the brand.
Are you looking to quickly boost new Amazon product launches or scale up existing listings to reach first page positioning? The influencer platform Stack Influence can help.
That's right. Stack Influence pushes high volume external traffic, sales straight to Amazon listings using micro influencers that you only have to pay with your products.
They've helped up-and-coming brands like Magic Spoon compete with Cheerios for top category positioning, while also helping Fortune 500 brands like Unilever launch their new products.
Right now is one of the best times to get started with Stack Influence. You can sign up at stackinfluence.com or click the link in this video down in the description or notes below and mention Misfits, that's MISFITS, to get 10% off your first campaign. stackinfluence.com.
You can see this when somebody does a really good job of that. A lot of the times you don't even notice it. And I'll give you an example. Olive Garden. We don't have them up here, but I was in the States. I hadn't seen an Olive Garden for a while. Actually, I think I was with you, Kevin, and we were driving past one, and it was a subtle change. And it was, wow, that they did a great job with that. They just changed it to the times.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, it just thought of something. I had someone refer to me a while back, and they said I need to rebrand. And I said, well, show me what you've got. What is it? And it was like keeping bread fresh in a bag sort of thing. And so he sent me all the graphics and all the visuals and things. And I said, and I looked at the listing, I looked at the branding. There's nothing wrong with it. I said, because I really need to rebrand. I need to do that. And I looked at it. I thought, no, you don't. I think it's really well designed. I can see a proper designer's designed it. The colors work well. You might need to just tweak a few things here and there, but there was nothing I could do. I said, well, this is what you need to do. I can't really help you because there's nothing wrong with it. And so he went away thinking, well, that's refreshing. She's just turned away business. But, I thought, well, you don't need to do it. You don't need to rebrand. And, I think that's where people do need to sort of maybe consult with branding experts and see what is wrong with your brand. If I see something wrong, I will tell you, but there was nothing wrong with that one. And I could easily said, yeah, I can redesign it for you and, take on their business, but that's not what I'm about, So I believe in, integrity and honesty. So, I think they'll do well anyway with their business. So brands don't always have to rebrand. So yeah.
So if let's pretend Norm doesn't know anything about marketing, and he decides he's a big cigar smoker and he wants to launch his own line of cigars. And He comes to you. He hears like this lady Kitty's like really good at branding and logo and packaging. And he calls you up and says, "Hey Kitty, I'm launching a line of Norm cigars. Help me. I don't know what to do." What are you going to ask him? What do you need from him? What are the fundamental things that you need so that you can start actually designing a brand and packaging for Norm? And you don't know nothing, but he just wants to do cigars. What would you ask him? What would the interview? Just walk me down a few of the things that you would ask him, so our listeners
after
can
smoking
understand.
one.
Yeah. I don't know anything about cigars.
That's why I'm bringing this up. That's because this is a perfect example.
I did go to the cigar factory in Miami, so I did have a little look around. I was in awe with the packaging. Actually, I love the labels. I love the boxes. So I would ask, how many cigars are you packaging? Are you selling them as singles? Are you selling them in a pack? Is it going to be in a box? Who is your target audience? What range are you selling your cigars? Is it the lower range or is it premium end? Because then we're looking at really nicely designed box with a nice little clasp on possibly. But, I would ask them, what's your budget? How many SKUs are there? Are there a different range of cigars? I guess you get this. I've been paying attention: short ones, thin ones, bigger ones, aged ones, mature ones. So yeah, it's and I generally send out a brand questionnaire actually to clients to understand who is your target audience, what is your vision. What is the mission of this whole brand? What is it all about? Does it have a story behind it? What are you? and I actually have this personality, a brand personality slider. So it's set up with different things. Are you a classic brand, or are you a rebel brand? Are you a contemporary brand? Are you a funny brand? Are you quiet? Are you loud or quiet? Are you rebel? Are you there's loads of things that they on the slider from one end to the other, it's opposites, and they will put an X on where they think their brand is, and that's really helpful when I create the brand. So I do ask for inspiration. Who do you think are your top 3 competitors? Then I can see actually you want to be in competition or better than these people, and I know that kind of market. Then I can see what kind of market you're appealing to as well, because not often the client might not know. So I would ask them that, but you know your cigar, so and then then I would go away and dissect that. And if you're after brand identity and the whole thing, like the mission, the tone of voice, I would dissect that for you. I create the color palettes. I will look at the fonts. I will create a vision, a mission, a tagline if you need one, and create the whole logo behind that and put it into a brand guideline document. So then you have everything. But I present all my findings first, my research, my initial presentation, before I put everything into brand guideline, because it needs to work with what you're after. And then, I'd go away and design packaging as well. So I'd come up with so many different ideas, things that I think would work. I would look at budget as well. So I would look at budget packaging. So what if Norm's going to design something, he just wants card. I'm going to look at some card options and create something really beautiful. Then I'm going to look at mid-range. Maybe he wants a little bit more, maybe he wants it bespoke shape. It might have a die cut or something in there. Then I might look at the premium end. So I'm going to look at nice wood cast cases with, maybe some embossing on the actual, or branding on the actual box. So there's loads of different avenues I go down, and it's really understanding what the client's after. And then I just present it, and they say they love it. And Norm says, I'm going to create another range for you. So
CMS cigars.
Yes. Yeah.
How does AI play or does it play in any aspect in what you do?
Sorry, what was that?
How does AI play any aspect in what you do when in this whole process?
Recently, I've been trying out AI actually, and I am not worried about it taking over my job actually. I use it to create content actually mainly, and some ideas for different contents. I have asked it to try design certain things or come up with some color palettes, and I've been testing it, but it doesn't do what I want it to do. I have to prompt, but only because I know what I'm after. So AI doesn't know. Even though I've told them, so I've tested it with some brands that I've had brand questionnaires. I will dissect it and prompt it exactly how I want it. Can you give me the color palette for it? Can you look at the fonts as well? Can you design me a logo and see what they come up with? And it doesn't work. It's something I've seen maybe on Canva or something. AI will pick up things that they've seen around on wherever it's seen it. But I don't think it designs very well. So I will look at it and think, no. And I've been trying it with color palettes. It just doesn't get the color palettes right. And so I don't think AI is quite there when it's creating a whole brand, for me anyway, because I'm quite particular as well. And I think let's use it as a tool, see what it comes up with. But no, it's not doing what I want. Maybe some colors might be right. Some fonts might be nice. Actually, I've not heard of that font, so I will have to have a look at that. But, I do know my fonts. So I have a whole folders of different types of font, and they're all categorized in sans serif. They're decorative, they're script, they're handwritten, or they're hand script. And I have a whole library of things. But when it comes to AI, I think use it as a pinch of salt. I mean, for me as a designer anyway, it can design, but not that well, especially charts. Things aren't aligned, the formatting's not quite right. So I would fire AI if it was on my team.
I had just recently, I had one of our friends just give me a second opinion on a listing that I was looking at and why it wasn't selling, why the conversion was so low. And it had almost 1,500 reviews. There were 4.8. Very good. 4.8, 1,500 reviews. And it was just like, I can't exactly see what's going on here. So I called this person up and I said, hey, can you review the images with me and tell me why this is converting low? And they came back and I needed this second opinion. It said, you're marketing to two audiences. Oh. I said, they said, your consistency is off. They don't know if it's for this market or for this market. And I went, holy crap, that's right. So I hate to say this because this is said too often, but you got to know your audience, who you're marketing to, before you even can start thinking about the brand and the colors and the fonts and all of that. Yeah. But as soon as that was picked out, it was like, it's so simple, is it professional or is it consumer? Yeah. And it was consumer based.
Ah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I go a deep dive into the demographics, the behaviors, the needs, the preferences, what their communication channels are, and everything to do with the target audience. You have to go deep dive into creating that target audience, because it's not just the top line. How old are they? Where do they live? And it's not that. You've got to see what their psychographics are. With the audience.
So how do you do this with to Norm's point? We had someone on the podcast about a month ago, Mary Harcourt, and she invented this light, this like arched light that actually she was an eyelash technician. Eyelashes are very fine and kind of hard to see, and all the lighting, it was difficult to actually really see all the little fine lashes. So she invented this light that would arch over and would create really good even lighting across so you could see it. She put this product out, and it was to eyelash people and to people in salons and stuff. And then she started noticing a lot of tattoo people start buying this product, which is a complete tattoo artist, because they need the same thing. They need to be able to see all the little fine lines. And so she's like, okay. So what she did is what every good marketer should do, is to solve Norm's issue, is she creates two separate landing pages. One landing page is geared towards the tattoo people. One landing page is geared towards the beauticians and stuff, and which is fine. And I think she even gave the product, it's the exact same product, but she changed the box a little bit. And one's the X27 for tattoo artists, and one's I'm making this up, but the X10 for nail technicians. Yeah. But it's still the same brand name and still the same branding. How do you come to Norm's point where you got two different audiences buying this? How do you, from a branding and packaging point of view, what she did is great, but how do you marry those together so you don't sway it too much the other way? And you actually marry those two together into one cohesive unit, so it's still the same brand across multiple...
But two audiences, yeah.
Yeah, two audiences.
Oh my goodness. That is quite tricky. And they're on the same website as well, right?
Yeah, same website, but different landing page.
Oh, different landing pages. Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's the brand as well, but it's tricky when you are pitching to two different audiences, because then it might affect the language and the message that you're trying to, when you're talking to the customer, because talking to a tattoo artist is different to talking to the beauty people.
But you can accomplish that on a landing page. And you can accomplish with different wording, and you can change out the packaging a little bit to talk to each audience. But the overall brand name, the overall logo is still the same. So how do you marry those two? I
think at the end of the day, that is like the brand house. So it's the umbrella of the other. Well, it is the same product, but I think that shouldn't change anything too much. I mean, the brand itself, I know it's pitching to two different audiences, but then there are brands that I have to use Ted Baker, for example. They have the kids and they have the women's range as well, and it's still Ted Baker. So you're buying into that top brand. You're not, and then the products you can sort of fill in, talking to different audiences, because there will be different tones of voices anyway. But overall, it's the main brand at the top. So I think it's really sort of creating that messaging. And I think it's that top line messaging that you need to get across to two. And I think it's the personality of the brand, and that's what will filter down to those two other different landing pages. It is about the top umbrella brand.
So maybe in her case, I'm just hypothetically here. In her case, the brand, the top level brand, should not be tailored to either one of those markets. It should be more maybe about the technology. It's some sort of lighting technology, and it's like, we're the greatest, latest, coolest technology for lighting. And then you brand down, or you branch down, and then you split those off, just like you said with Ted Baker Kids, Ted Baker Women, Ted Baker Men.
Yeah.
So the top level brand has a connotation and an identity to it, but the identity is not necessarily to that avatar. It's one level up, or something along those lines.
I think, I would agree with you. I mean, you articulated that better than I did. So yes.
I've even seen it, and I'm not sure if Mary's doing this, but where you have a Shopify store and you have your catalog, and then within the catalog, you can see tattoo or eyelash, and they have the usage, the services laid out, and then they press on whatever one, and it'll go over to that page. Or you could just drive traffic over to another subdomain on that domain. But
see, I did this on Amazon, just real quick, Norm. I did this on Amazon when I was selling fitness products. My brand name was U Active Sports, YOU Active Sports. And so everything was going to be like for active sports. Everything I did under that was active sports. Then every single product I put out, I also gave it a brand name. I gave the product an actual brand name. So it was the AbWell, I had an ab roller. So it was the AbWell Core Shredder was the name of the product. It wasn't just, here's my ab roller under U Active Sports, the U Active Sports ab roller. It wasn't that. It was U Active Sports top level, and then brands underneath it. And then if I came out with a second ab roller for women, which is easier for women on their backs, and it was called the AbWell Dragon. And so each one had its own unique branding and name. That's a way to actually accomplish that too.
Yeah, so that's like a house of brands. So you've got the branded house, and then you got the house of brands. So that's another way of doing it. But you could easily kept the branded house and then give them hero product names rather than giving a brand name to every single one. But unless that product is very different. But yeah.
What's up, everybody? Your good old buddies Norm and Kevin here, and I've got an Amazon creative team that I want to introduce you to.
That's right, Kevin. It's called the House of AMZ, and it's the leading provider in combining marketing and branding with laser focus on Amazon.
Hey, Norm, they do a lot of really cool stuff if you haven't seen what they do, like full listing graphics, premium A+ content, storefront design, branding, photography, renderings, packaging design, and a whole lot of other stuff that Amazon sellers need.
Yeah, and guess what? They have 9 years active in this space. So you can skip the guesswork, trust the experts. There's no fees. There's no retainers. You pay per project.
So if you want to take your product to the next level, check out House of AMZ. That's houseofamz.com. House of AMZ.
We're kind of doing that with Dragonfish, Kevin.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit of Dragonfish. Just a touch.
It's a little selfish plug. So I was kind of curious about the mistakes. So what are the major mistakes brands are making right now?
I think the main mistakes is clarity. They're not very clear with their message. So I think it's really important to know what you're saying to the customer and actually being consistent, because there's a lot of brands will have their listing up on Amazon and they'll have one look and feel for the brand, but then you go onto their Shopify site and it's completely different, or you go onto their social media and that's completely different, and there's no consistency. And some brands use different logos for different things, and it's like, well, why have you got 5 different logos? There's no consistency, and the tone of voice is completely it's not clear. Am I speaking to the right audience? Because the customers will get confused, and I think that's where brands get it wrong is creating confusion for their customers. They're not clear. They're not actually targeting people properly in the way they talk and how they message what they're selling.
Same question for packaging.
For packaging, I guess I think what people get wrong is that they cram everything on the packaging. They think, oh, more is great. Let's put the logo here and let's just put the product name there and put some more colors. And I think it's quite noisy. People get lost in noise. And if you're not clear about your message or creating some hierarchy on the packaging, so for instance, having your logo clear and then the product name and then what it does on the packaging, it will confuse the customer. They'll just think, oh, I don't really understand what it does, because it's about clarity again, and creating that hierarchy and making sure that the packaging does sell as well, do some of the selling. I know people buy from the products off Amazon and they'll just look at the image as well, but it's really understanding also that how to use the product and being able to resonate with the product and how you use it. Because I think a lot of brand owners don't have that in the listings. They don't have a human using the product. They don't have a human showing the size of the product. Like, actually, it fits your hand. It doesn't, it's not that big. And, I think a lot of things, there are mistakes that brand owners make. So when it comes to packaging, I think it's the noise, make it less noisy. And then, yeah.
I think packaging also plays a role in people selecting people when people buy gifts, especially the packaging is a statement of the gift as well. So a lot of times people will choose a nicer packaging over something else if it's intended as a gift.
Yeah, I mean, I do all the time. I love the packaging, So when I go out shopping and I buy off Amazon a lot. And when the packaging's not great, I get really disappointed. It's like, but yeah, it's trying to create that sort of feeling of excitement. And, it's making sure, that people can actually open the box as well and making it practical. So it's not just the box. And I know it's also depending on the type of product you sell. But the packaging does really matter, because when you get it, even though it comes in an Amazon box, you open it up, you still have to open the box itself or the packaging of some sort for the product. But it has to create that excitement. And I think people need to sort of think a little bit more about it. And how can they create that memorable experience as well for the customer, because I know not all products are exciting, but you can still put a bit more thought to how you message it, even if it is a brown box.
Have you been to Japan?
I have, yes.
So have you bought stuff in Japan in a store? Not food stuff, but actual items. Have you always noticed how everything is wrapped?
Yeah.
It's not just let me stick this in the bag and carry it out. They actually they take wrapping paper like they're giving you a gift or some sort of, and they actually wrap it up and put a bow on it to give it to you. And it's like Tiff's Treats, Norm. When you're in Austin, you go into Tiff's Treats. These cookies that Norm likes that I get when he comes to visit, and they're like $2 a piece for these, but they're really good cookies. But you go in there, they don't just stick them in one of these like plastic sleeves or something, or a little baker's box. They put them in a nice little box, has a little sticker on top, says Tiff's Treats, and then they tie a bow on top of it, like a blue ribbon bow. It's like in branding. And a lot of times when I go in there, I'm like, just don't worry about the bow, because that's something I just got to untie to get my cookie out so I can eat one in the car on the way home. But they do that for packaging. They do that in Japan too. And it's always fascinated me how much that actually. And this is something I'm buying for myself. I'm not giving this as a gift to somebody, and they do that. And that's the, like you said, the experience.
It's that extra value. Yeah. Sorry, it's that extra value people think they're getting as well. And it
reconfirms that you made a good choice.
Yeah. It makes you feel special when people do that. Yeah. I love it. And, it didn't take that much time. You don't pay for it. And it feels like you're going to open it all over again, even though it's just the cookie inside the bow. But it's like, it just feels a little bit like your birthday or something.
Kev, you got to stop wrapping those cigars, though. I just want to get to the cigar. I don't want the ribbon. Just let me smoke the bloody thing.
The next time when you get your Coke Zero, I'm going to give you one of these Coke Zero bottles. I'm going to put it in a nice box. I'll put it in one of those like Russian doll boxes where it just keeps getting smaller and smaller. And you got to pick the thing out. You're going to think I give you a big Coke. And it's like a little tiny bottle on the bottom.
So
those nesting dolls.
What do you do for inspiration? If I'm a brand, and I don't recommend trying to do this on your own if you have no graphic experience, but what do you recommend for inspiration for brands and package owners? Where do they research?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of research, and I've been doing it today a lot. I use Pinterest a lot. And I love it. There's firstly, Pinterest have Pinterest trends, if you've not heard of that. So you can go onto there and look for for example, I'm looking for maybe, I don't know, some packaging for Christmas. And then you might look for that'll come up with some trends for you in terms of what Christmas packaging is. And then it will throw you all these pins. So it's like a mood board. It will put a mood board together for you already. And it's really great because then it will suggest other things that you might not have thought of, like the materials or colors or something else, or even logos that might go with your packaging. So, you know, that Pinterest, you can go through a whole rabbit hole on Pinterest in terms of looking for things and creating little mood boards. So I have a lot of saved boards in my Pinterest, and it's great because you see so many things for inspiration for logos, for colors, for packaging, for materials, even for design layouts. And you know, I think people should go. Well, brand owners should go on to Pinterest to start with. I mean, I know some go on to Instagram. There's another site called Design Inspiration, which I look at as well. So it's really quite designed for designers as well. So I look at other alternatives, but Pinterest is my go-to, and I love it. I can just be there all day, just liking this and liking that, and you know, it's lovely.
I like Etsy as well.
Yeah, Etsy's lovely, really nice. They've got some really lovely handmade stuff, and it's quite a big market now for people to like sell on there as well. And yeah, I think Etsy's quite good for packaging inspiration and some other things as well. So, but for me, Pinterest is my go-to.
Hey, Kevin King and Norm Farrar here. If you've been enjoying this episode of Marketing Misfits, thanks for listening this far. Continue listening. We got some more valuable stuff coming up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast player, or if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, make sure you subscribe to our channel because you don't want to miss a single episode of the Marketing Misfits. Have you subscribed yet, Norm?
Well, this is an old guy alert. Should I subscribe to my own podcast?
Yeah, but what if you forget to show up one time and it's just me on here? You're not going to know what I say.
I'll buy you a beard and you can sit in my chair too. And you can go back and forth with one another. Yikes! But that being said, don't forget to subscribe, share it. Oh, and if you really like this content, somewhere up there's a banner. Click on it and you'll go to another episode of the Marketing Misfits.
Make sure you don't miss a single episode because you don't want to be like Norm.
Oh. All right, Kev, any last questions?
All I know is when I was married, every year at Christmas, we'd have a couple Christmas trees around the house. And since it was just me and my wife, we need to fill up these Christmas trees. And we filled it up with packaging because she saved every Louis Vuitton box, every Valentino box, every Tiffany's box, and with the ribbons and everything. So our Christmas trees look like a retail storefront window for these brands. So it'd be stacks of all these different boxes, like nice luxury boxes under it. So packaging matters. That's all I got to say.
We did the same, but our Christmas tree had Dollar General, discount store, no frills.
I figured you just have FedEx boxes now, Norm.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Kitty, we're at the end of the podcast. And at the end of every podcast, we like to ask our misfits if they know a misfit.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the ladies tonight. So I'm going to recommend Gracie Ryback. And she's an Amazon influencer, and she does an amazing job on TikTok and on Instagram as well. So I really sort of think she could be a misfit for your show.
Oh, very good. I'll reach out to her. Okay. And how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. It was mebranddesign.com, and you will find my details there. So it's just kitty@mebranddesign.com. But yeah, if you go to the website, you'll see everything there, and you can contact me through that.
All right. So, Kev, last word, anything before I remove Kitty?
Oh, thanks for coming on, Kitty. Appreciate you sharing your insights and knowledge. This has been great.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been great to speak to you guys again. So hopefully see you soon.
Oh, I'll be waiting for my glasses.
Yes, I will have them.
Oh, oops. There we go. I almost got it right. All right, Kev.
Always good stuff. Always like talking about branding, packaging. It's a big thing that a lot of people overlook, and you and I are both pretty big on it and have a lot of experience in that. So it's great to speak with someone that's loves to geek out on it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you're going to have the matching sunglasses. So,
All I need is a beard now, and I'll be good.
well, you can start growing it.
Start growing the beard so that people start calling us ZZ Top.
Exactly. There we go. All right.
Yeah, if you like this podcast, be sure to forward it to somebody. You could always share it if you like this. Someone that needs to hear about their branding or get some inspiration on branding. Share this podcast with them. Check us out on YouTube. You can see us on YouTube. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also go to marketingmisfits.co. And soon, this summer, we should have a newsletter that's coming out, the Marketing Misfits newsletter as well. That's going to have a lot of cool stuff. So watch for an announcement of that because you're not going to want to miss that. But we're back here every Tuesday with another episode of the Marketing Misfits. Sometimes it's just me and Norm, but a lot of times we have an interesting guest like we had today with Kitty. So hopefully we'll see you again here next Tuesday.
All right. See everybody later.
Ciao.